Good morning. Welcome to Sports Desk Live on Comcast Channel 26, also streamed on Facebook. I'm your host, Ed Nunez, along with producer Albany Wani. Very special guest today is Highland head football coach Phil Lovato. His Hornets victorious over the St. Pius Sergeants 38-14 last weekend. And Coach, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, Coach, we got a lot to talk about. Since last year, numbers, are much better. Yeah, 20. I don't think people. We're going to talk about that because it's been a step-by-step process, one that doesn't happen overnight. And last year at this time, things were much different, right? A
Right.
lot of things came into question and how you were doing things and how things should be. And we must say this too, with a caveat, right? Highland has a rich football history, a rich one that goes back to the '60s, the '50s, even, right?
Yep.
So that has to be said. There was a lot of people that weighed in and said this should be done this way, this should be done that way, and a lot of people have passion about Highland football, but you're the one in charge. You're the one that had to make a lot of tough decisions. We'll get into that, Coach. Your first game of the season against Portales. Let's talk about that one a little bit. The Hornets dropping a decision to Portales, 31-16, and it was a game that you felt your team was in, but some mistakes undid you. Talk a little bit about that first game, and we'll get to everything else.
Okay. Well, you know, I think one of the biggest things about that first game was, typically our first game has been, a really tough 6A opponent. And, you know, the kids, they understand. They look at some of those schedules in the past and it's like, well, you know, they chalk it up as a loss already just because the statistics prove that 90% of the time, you know, uh, the smaller schools are going to lose to those bigger schools. And here we had a team that, yeah, classification's less than us. However, Portales is a quality team. Coach Ramirez out there does a heck of a job. And, for us, it was kind of like there was a different type of excitement about like we can play with these guys. And I think there was a lot of pressure that we just didn't realize was building up. And so when we played, you just saw we were slow. We kind of overthought things. Our reaction times were not very good, and and then obviously Portales was a heck of a team. So you know they capitalized on our mistakes, and when we didn't do things right, you know um, they made it count against us. And so you know it was tough, but I like really thinking back now, it was I think it's what we needed because that next day for practice, we had a 4 or 5 hour practice, and it wasn't that it was even physical. It was just mental, figuring out what kind of team do we have, what are we going to do moving forward, and it really kind of manifests itself into the Pius game. So we'll see what happens from here.
You lost your quarterback in a scrimmage. Isai and Ed, I believe you lost him in a scrimmage against Rio Grande with a broken, collarbone that you think's not broken. He may be back, but talk about the adjustment. You liked Ed. You told me he could run. He was really good with his feet. But when you lose a quarterback like that, it's hard to plug in. A new quarterback. He's less experienced, probably less talented in some areas. But talk about the adjustment with the quarterback that came off the bench and played very well against St. Pius.
So last year Alex played quarterback for us at times too, and you know
Alex Lopez, right?
Alex Lopez, who's our
Yeah.
quarterback right now, and Isai was actually more of a receiver for us, but he started really come along when we moved him to quarterback, and so we're really excited. He can throw, he can run. The belief was opening up the offense a lot more, and I think once he gets healthy and he can come back, he's gonna have a spot definitely playing, uh, behind the center there, because Alex does so many great things. We can put him anywhere. He's clutch. You know, Isai had to leave for a little period of time for family during the summer, so Alex got a lot of reps and a lot of work. So when he went down, we have a big philosophy in our program that it's about the program. Like we're moving forward, and so when someone gets hurt, someone leaves, someone does whatever, we just keep going. And so Alex stepped right into that role. Our line's still our line, our running backs are still our running backs, and you know, it's not that we forgot about Isai. It's just we have to keep going. And when he's ready, he's going to hop right back into this machine. And, during 7-on-7s, him and Alex had a great relationship catching the ball together. So, uh, you know, it changed our offense, but nothing to where we were really concerned about.
This is where added depth and better numbers have come in, right? Because last year we talked about that. And by the way, you're the third longest tenured coach in Highland history, behind Bill Gentry, behind Gary Sanchez. Is that true?
No, behind Judge Chavez.
That's right. I forget Judge was there
Yeah.
that long. So it's behind Bill Gentry and Judge Chavez. And
Yes.
so you're the third longest tenured Highland coach there, amongst Gary Sanchez, Mark Henry, people. Again, the rich history there. Coach, you mentioned that you did lose your quarterback, but you have numbers. You were ready. Let's talk about building the program up, and COVID. Talk about where it started, because a couple years ago, COVID, it decimated some of your numbers, right?
Right.
To the point last summer, it was 21. You were fielding 21 players, and that's the stand you made. We'll get into that. Talk a little bit about where it is now, the numbers, and how you had to build them up, because it was not an easy process, and where they are today, where they sit today.
Right. So, yeah, our numbers were sitting just about 70, 68, 69, somewhere in that area. So huge difference from last year. Varsity, we're still, kind of in those small number ranges because, most of the kids that we're getting are freshmen and sophomores. And so there's some kids that are definitely, they're working their way up to help us varsity wise. But even my varsity is very young. We only have a handful of seniors, I think maybe 6. And so, when all this kind of started happening together, it's just I guess you could say the perfect storm, right? So COVID hits us, decimates our numbers. Again, our mentality, we just keep going forward, right? Didn't matter what the numbers were, we're going to keep going forward. And then, we started seeing more kids a little bit here, a little bit there. And it's been a battle to begin with, because I think what a lot of people have a hard time with is, I coach hard. My coaches coach hard. We have a standard, and that's what we're going to live by. And I'm okay with that. And I have a great principal and AD that support me and support my decisions. And, we have expectations. You got to come to practice. You got to be here on Saturdays. You have to do those things. And so that keeps kids, some kids just don't want to play because of that. And that's okay. But the ones that are here they're our guys. These are our neighborhood guys. These are kids, this isn't some pipeline. We don't have a YAFL program and any of that kind of stuff. So these are kids that truly want to play for this team. And, I think when we made our stand about we're not playing these 6A teams anymore, I think that kind of it brought something out in the community. I believe, because I've heard from parents and other individuals of, you did the right thing for the kids, and I think they trust us more now, if anything. It's always going to be about the safety of our kids. Everything I do, we worked out a deal with Guardian Cap so that we can have those for our helmets. We're looking at the latest thing to help our numbers, because we want our kids to be safe and healthy, and we want to have a program that can also compete. You know what I mean? And so our fight to not play those games and against APS, and even there's some fight I think that needs to happen with the NMAA, but we're just taking it now a step-by-step process, and just looking out for my kids and hopefully continue growing these numbers. I'm really excited of where we're at.
That's what you mentioned to me, and we'll preview the Highland Stinger magazine in the next segment. You mentioned that to me in an interview we did about 2 weeks ago, is the growth of the program. But you did mention, and Coach, we're not trying to start anything here, man. We're not, okay? I'm a Hornet. You're a Hornet. You played football for Highland. You coached the Highland. So, but there was backlash, right? Because traditionally, Highland has played this tough schedule. We have to remember and remind people, this isn't the Highland of yesteryear, right? This isn't the Highland of yesteryear. We don't mean this in a bad way. You love every kid that comes through there. You also teach government there, and so this is not the Highland of yesterday. Explain a little bit. Explain a little bit what that means.
Um, you know, it's different. Obviously, we are Title One school. Very low income socioeconomics. Our district's different. We don't really have the Fort Hills anymore, Altura Park kids anymore. Ridgecrest is more older than anything. So there's demographics have changed a lot. Um, but with that being said, though, these different kids that we have now that than what was in the past, um, they're new to football. That's probably one of the biggest things that is so different from the past to now. Most of our kids have never played Yaffle. They've never had any type of organized football structure or even sports in general. Soccer is probably one of the biggest things that they all know how to play, just because most of their heritage is soccer. So when we take them on, it's newbies, right? And that's what we have to battle. And yeah, we got a lot of a lot of grief for our stance, and but I believe that's really what a true Hornet is, right? That's whenever I had the conversation with the kids and then with the parents, and this had to start with me as far as saying we were going to do this or not, knowing that I could get fired, knowing that all these things could happen. I was like, this is what a Hornet does, though. We fight, because everybody said that we would never get this done, that we're wasting our time. Nobody cares. And you know what? I just came with the facts that, when you look at the haves and the have-nots lose 90% of the time. The haves are getting teams, 3-4 games on their schedule where they were basically guaranteed a win. Well, that bumps their chances for playoffs, right? So that, all this, the 6A's could play down, but we couldn't play down. Well, why not? Why can't we have that freedom? And so, we just stuck to the basics. And I got to give, Gabriella Blakey, she's our COO of APS. She really listened to us, and it took courage on her part to, allow the change that happened, which now we can make our own schedules.
Which is huge. Coach, we're going to take a break and pick this up on the other side of the segment. We'll be back to the sports desk after these messages on ProView Networks.
Oh, nice right hand.
Good left hand by Canales off the ropes.
Right hand, left hook again by Gonzalez. And the left hook.
Canales. Oh, he's let's see.
They're going to stop it.
Canales right in front of us here.
They're going to stop it.
That's it.
I told you.
That's it.
David Gonzalez
is
left
going
hooks
to
to the
stop
body.
the fight.
Elijah Brody, we'll talk about that at halftime. So keep this one on the ground. It takes a nice high hop over the head of Montoya.
Goodness.
Wow!
A couple of yards difference from where everything started here. Searmans drops back. He's got some time. He's going to go forward. He's rushing through for a first down. Searmans, even with the ball being threatened, he's still moving. Can anything stop this kid? He's up to the 3-yard line, a 24-yard game on third down.
Keep going. They're throwing. They're throwing. They're throwing. They're letting their hands go.
New set of downs. Armenta quickly. Oh, what a ball. He's got to find his man, and he does. Touchdown, Sanchez. Wide open. Love the play design there.
False starts have led to to a first down and 20 for the Tigers. Searmans will hold on to it. He's unleashing this one, looking for Baca in the end zone. Touchdown. And you cannot count out the Tigers as they flip the field. I think we might see a pass here as Los Lunas has a lot of men stacked inside. He lets it go before being hit and sliding down, intercepted. That's going to be a slip, and the Los Lunas Tigers will get this ball back on the play. It's Dominic Trujillo. Loss of 8 earlier kind of slowed down his momentum. Hunter Garcia back. He's going to unleash, and could be another interception. It is. It's the same man, Dominic Trujillo.
From his defense.
Oh no, especially as well as Rio Rancho is tackled thus
To
far.
Bowie, he gets free towards the sideline. See you later. Touchdown, Gabriel Bowie. Armenta, 3rd and long. He's been under pressure a lot. This one is up for grabs. A horrible throw, and it is going to go all the way for the interception and touchdown. Rams on the board first.
Looks like he wants to end this one. Oh, they knocked down Carter with the left hook to start around 4.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
Hi everyone, my name is Master Sergeant Jacob Groves. I am a Air Force Special Warfare Pararescueman. Air Force Special Warfare are proud supporters of ProView Network and New Mexico Youth Sports. Air Force Special Warfare operators are critical thinkers. They maintain a high level of fitness, they take initiative, and they don't quit. For more information on Air Force Special Warfare, contact me at the number listed below.
U.S. Air Force Special Warfare are proud supporters of ProView Sports.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number 1. Cover it with green stuff, 1 scoop is not enough. Find a booth that's real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
The energy landscape is limitless and ever-changing. Cleaner energy resources are crucial to New Mexico's environment. For 100 years, PNM has utilized cutting-edge technology and employed hard-working New Mexicans to ensure that we have consistent, reliable energy when we need it. For life's loudest moments, quietest moments, and every moment in between. We're dedicated to providing you with energy now and into the future. All you have to do is dream of what to do with it next.
Welcome back to the Sports Desk Live on Comcast Channel 26, also streamed on Facebook. I'm Ed Nunez. With us today is Highland head football coach Phil Lovato. And, Coach, we're finishing that talk about the stand you took, about the scheduling, because you mentioned this to me again, and we'll talk about the Highland Stinger magazine, which will be out hopefully before your next home game. That's something that is new that you've been doing, your idea, and David Montes, the outstanding media representative from Highland. What an outstanding job he does. We'll talk about that in a second. But there's some what great pictures that David took last. Boy, I'll tell you, that's an intense picture. Talk a little bit about the numbers, where they are now. Now, 21 last year, and I think you mentioned up to 54 and 55 now?
No, about 68, 69, maybe 70.
Okay, so it jumped. That's an incredible jump of, look at that. And again, I can't speak about it, and you can't either. What a great job David does. And just a great guy, another former Highland guy, right? I mean, one thing about, Highland, we have an alumni association. Everybody's got that Highland pride. They really do. Yeah. And you talk to somebody about going to Highland, and they really show that pride. And David and his outstanding work certainly shows that through his photography. But you've got the numbers now, right? The numbers are, man, wow, that's a great jump. And I think of some of the things you mentioned, though, a lot of these kids haven't had the opportunity playing Yaffles. You played Yaffle? You played, right? So playing the apple is an advantage. And some of these kids, you've got to build from the ground up as far as tackling, hitting, wearing a helmet, even putting on pads, right? You've got to build them from the ground up. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, I mean, and not just, the part of Yaffa or whatever. A lot of us, we played in the park. We were always outside.
Park football.
We were doing all kinds of stuff. And, most kids nowadays, they don't do those kind of things, right? For whatever reason, whether they don't feel safe at the park, whether, it's because of video games, laziness, whatever it is. But, they just don't do those things. And so I think, if you're playing Yaffle, right, or doing other sports, and then you come in, at least your body's going to understand what athletics is, I think, right? If you are an active kid who maybe never played before, right, at least you're going to kind of understand your body, right? And that's a big thing I think people don't really think about is, just understanding how to fall, right? How to roll, how to, catch yourself balance-wise, things like that. And we unfortunately, we get kids that, we always seem to, a kid will break an arm or a hand or something because he doesn't understand how to roll, right? So he doesn't catch himself properly. And so, it's things like that that really impacts us with that lack of experience, right? And then when you're putting on pads, I mean, it just like everybody's who's ever coached, they put thigh pads where their knee pads should go, or they put the belts backwards, or you know what I mean, they put things inside out. It's one of the fun parts about coaching because you get to laugh at, because you forget, like, these are just kids that have no clue what they're supposed to do. And we have to remind ourselves when they're out there on the field that they're young, they're not sure, then you put them in a stressed position, thought process is going to slow down a lot more. And so and that's why we had to fight our fight, right? Was because, it was crazy, right? They would never let a senior play down, but a freshman can play up. Well, what's the difference, right? And so, when we talked about this whole safety thing and what we're trying to do for our kids, we want our kids to play kids that look like them, that are the size of them almost, right? You name it. We want to look in the mirror and go, yep, there it is. That's us. That says something, right? It means something. And we're just going to keep doing what we do, and the kids, are growing. And we played our JV game yesterday, first time that we've had a JV in a long time. And even though we lost, I think we had 50 kids there or so, and all of them got playing time. And that's just that much more experience that they never would have had if we didn't have what we had right now, right? So it's working. It's a process, but we are definitely working towards the right direction.
You mentioned this to me. You had to look yourself in the mirror, be comfortable with the stance that you took, and a year later, I know how comfortable you are. It worked out, right? It wasn't easy. A lot of voices from the side, from the middle, right? From all over, right? But you're the one that had Coach Barnhill, Marco Harris. They're all behind you. You've got a great support system there. There's no doubt.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate, and enough can't be said with Barnhill stepping in, as our AD, obviously, and then Principal Harris was just amazing throughout this process, and so much respect goes to him and how he fought for the Highland kids and this community and our team, our program, and it was amazing, and it's a perfect storm, right? Because you have to have all these little parts. We all had to do our part in order to make it count, and it did. And if the parents and the kids didn't want to do it, then this probably would never have happened. But they were, they understood because they went through this whole process of knowing what it's like to be a freshman, to get pounded by these big teams, and for what, right? I mean, you get 50 pointed. I'm sorry, we're not 6'4", 280 pounds. We don't have, 70 kids and all of them can run 4.5, 4.4. Like, that's not us. You know what I mean? And so why are we going up against that, right? It's only a one-way, it's a one-way position. Only one person's benefiting, and that was my whole thing is. And I told some of the other schools out there, because I know some of them talk their stuff, and I said, you give me one thing that it benefits my program, and we'll play those teams. They can't. They absolutely can't. There's nothing that they can say to me that is a positive, right? And so, now we're playing teams that are like us, and the kids are enjoying football a lot more. Injuries are down. We have kids that in the past, you get 50 pointed, and it's like they're questioning whether or not they want to keep playing.
The playing field's a lot more even now this year. And going forward, I think that's going to be great. Tell us a little bit about the defense forced 7 turnovers against St. Pius. You mentioned this to me. You were going to blitz from everywhere. Talk a little bit about that defense. And St. Pius, by the way, was a playoff team last year. They lost some key players, but they've still got Sapien at quarterback, Koash at receiver. They're still a very talented team. Talk a little bit about your defense that you were very excited about.
They played the way I was hoping. Week 1, and I told the kids that was, I said I quit. That was on me. I didn't blitz as much as I wanted. We just didn't look like we were flying around. And this week I was like, we're going to go hard, and we're going to blitz every play. And the kids just really, like I said, when they came together on their own and said, we're going to do this. It wasn't perfect, but you know what? We did it. I mean, kids were flying around. We had more effort. And it was, what was nice about it was things that we've been practicing in practice happened. With Big Goose, Aaron Loya, he picks up the fumble and almost scores a touchdown. We practice the scoop and score every day almost. And, some of the turnovers, getting in the pile, stripping the ball out, right? So like a lot of these things we practice, and I think for the kids to actually see it happening, right? Because we are young. Now there's more trust and belief in what we're doing. And so, we're only going to get better. We're only going to get better. We have some injuries that I'm hoping, by our next game, they're going to be back, who are phenomenal athletes. And if we can just keep the intensity on defense, and I've already told them, I don't care how many yards they get. We just got to be physical. As long as they don't score, we're okay.
And it sounded like at least last week when you played St. Pius, and you've got Bernalillo coming up next, and Coach Kobos. Much respect for Coach Kobos.
Yep.
That's going to be a tough game. But again, these are games that are a little bit more. You mentioned level in the playing field. These are games that your team can look forward to and say we can at least compete. We don't know that Highland can compete. Nothing against the type of athlete you have, but it's tough to compete against the Cleveland or La Cueva or an El Dorado consistently, right? But now that the numbers are up, I think the best is yet to still come. But you're not saying either this is over with, right? You've got work to do, but I think what you and I talked a lot about this, right? Where you were last year and where you are this year, wow, that's an increase of 30, 40 players, man. And you've got to feel better about Highland's future going forward.
I am. I'm really excited, and but that's one thing when you coach, in a place like where we're at, our situation, things change. I mean, we've had some incredible players that end up moving away, right? There's always something happening, and so it's hard to relax. You know what I mean? And so, one thing is I think we're gonna take every game individually, piece by piece, and when we lose, figure out how we can fix it, and when we win, enjoy it, because in the past we just didn't really enjoy wins, and I think we need to do that a lot more, trying to have a little bit more fun with the kids, being more relaxed with some stuff, and as these numbers grow, hopefully, and continue to grow, here in the next couple of years, we might have a pretty good team. And you talked about Kobos over there at Bernalillo. Him and I have a great relationship. Our kids play each other all the time. In our 7-on-7s, we've scrimmaged. Our program loves their program. Because we're identical in so many ways, and when we get together, it's good competition, but it's just fun. You know what I mean? Because it's what you want. That's what you want your kids to play in these kind of games, and you want to see them fight for those wins and those opportunities. And I'm really excited about playing them. I can't wait. It's just exciting. We can go on a little roll here, but I think just ultimately, every week now is a fun week because we really truly believe we have a chance, and that's a huge difference.
Not to look forward to for sure. Highland head coach Phil Lovato, you have a bye week this week. Your next game will be against Bernalillo. We wish you all the best of luck in the remaining games of the season. We thank you so much for joining us on the Sports Desk.
Thank you so much for having me.
You bet. For producer Alden Iwani, I'm Ed Nunez. We'll see you next week on the Sports Desk. Thanks a lot, Phil.